Okay, right now we are having only five attendees. Today, no one is going to bother us about the attendance because Webex actually generates this attendance automatically. Yesterday, madam got confused and so she tried to take the attendance. Reports are actually get generated automatically in this system. System is very complex and very big, so sometimes this happens. Um, Parang now seven attendees: Amit Chauhan, Bamya Swami, Kunal Pawar, Mayur Shinde, Namesh Sarodar, Ruman Sheikh, and Soham Jain. So I'll wait for these things. Yesterday's attendance was around 91 people were present because five were the faculties, and few people due to the network problem they log in and log out, log in and log out. So it shows that there were total 155 login attempt done by the total attendees out of but actual attendees were only 91 at the highest count. So now we'll start with the yesterday's left lecture, and then we'll go with things. So means the next lecture and likewise. So I'm going to share today my entire desktop instead of sharing the Foxy Trader. Okay, so okay guys. So we are going to see. Okay, so we are going to see this yesterday's lecture. Whatever left over part due to the attendance thing, we are going to continue with that. So here we are having yesterday's lecture. I'm on the total participant list here. Total participants for today's lecture. Right now you are having the total 17 attendees, and your name and everything is there. Amit Chavan, you simply open your window, you just minimize it. It's showing the exclamatory mark. Monica Shelar, Ruman Sheikh. Just don't minimize your windows, okay? Because if you minimize the windows, the system will say that you are not giving the attention, and that will get recorded in the software. Okay. So we'll start with today's thing. Instead of using the annotation software of Webex integrated, which actually causes some network overhead, and many times this creates the problem, I'm using parallel, what you can say, application on the desktop. So let's start with the thing. So this generic process is there, which is given in Roger Pressman's book. Well, this diagram here that I'm using is actually taken from the book of Ian Somerville on the computer engineering. Now, if you see here, okay, you are having this start first. So you start here. So we start here. So what exactly happened in the start is called as an inception. So or elicitation thing. So if you see, this is a elicitation. So this start actually start here. Inception or elicitation means an idea actually come into the mind of the person. So actually this idea comes from these two parts. Okay, here, but here the idea is it not you can say come into the existence. Like let's right now say, suppose we are having, yesterday we have taken an example of shop in Wagholi. Today we are not going to continue with that example. Instead, I come up with a good idea. Even if you people will like to work on it, okay, and if you successfully work on it, that might be your final year project. Okay, so you can think on it the entire class I'm saying, because the application that I'm talking about requires very good programming skills and marketing skills also. So there are total 59 apps banned by Indian government, Chinese apps. So you can look at those Chinese apps. Those apps are already were in India day before yesterday. So you already have the ready prototype available with you. Now you go with the rapid prototype application development. This is an idea of inception. Let's consider the TikTok, a video sharing application, and if you start working on it, or let's consider the share it, you start working on it, you are having total 59 projects. Okay, third year guys, that you can work right now. And if you work on right now using a team, then it can be your final year project. Okay, it can be your final year project. You just have to choose the right technology and your projects are ready. So that's what you call as an inception or a start. Start means some inspiration you get. This inspiration is either by someone putting the order for it, or this inspiration may be just because something happens and you get inspired by that. So once you get this inspiration, what first start with software is a product, and so any product require to be get sold in a market. So what we say here, you require business requirement specification, not directly the software requirement. So to whom you are going to sell, how you are going to sell, whom means type of customers, and how means you may have the two or three layers. Let's say suppose the first layer as the free customer. Okay, second layer as we consider the silver customers, and then you can say the gold customers. So free customers, they can upload the video of only 5 minutes. If you create a TikTok like platform, you can say maximum limit to the video given is 5 minutes. Okay, and they can upload not more than 100 videos. Okay, in a year. This is what you can say the restrictions that you are giving to the free users. Okay, then you are in the silver members. The silver members may be those who are actually getting more views, more advertisements, and likewise do their videos, and likewise, or they are actually paid to you for these services. In that case, you may say 1,000 videos are there, and no limit to the size of video. Okay, or if you want to limit it, let's consider instead of 5 minutes, you are giving 15 minutes as the maximum length for their video. And then you are in the gold members. Okay, so this is what we call as a business requirement specification. How you are going to sell, whom you are going to sell, what will be, who will be your bankers, and all those things are actually considered in this thing. Once these business requirement specifications are completed, what happens? You require to identify which part of these requirements are technological and which parts are of these requirements are non-technological, which parts of these requirements are what you can say good, feasible, practically implementable, and which part of these requirements are just daydreams or speculation, which can't be completed within a time. And that is called as a feasibility study. Means you decided to create this business, but you can't go like a volume of YouTube or TikTok in a day. Okay, so that is what we call as speculation or infeasibility. So you have to consider how many users here, or how you are going to advertise like this. Once this is done, you require your product software requires some users for usage, and here comes this part, user requirements elicitation. So what elicitation means, you have to understand all the user requirements. So what exactly that user requires. So once this elicitation is done, means say suppose if you want video sharing platform, now you know that maximum of users are having mobile app with them, or mobile phone actually with them, so they can use their mobile to record the video and upload it. Okay, and you can consider that, because we are using the rapid prototyping model here, or evolutionary model of software engineering, we already know the many user requirements from the apps like TikTok or parallel apps or alternatives. Now from that you can create your own, and you can also add something from your side. something from your side into that app as an user requirements elicitation. Once these elicitations are done, okay, these things are required, you require to go for the specification. Here I'm going to take an example from kitchen. For example, let's say suppose what is user requirement elicitation. Your mom generally asks you what you want today for eating, and you say, okay, mama, I want palak paneer. Okay, or if you are a non-vegetarian, then you may say, I want chicken. What you can say, masala chicken, something, the handi and chicken handi and something like that. Okay, that is what we call as an elicitation. Only points are given. Now comes the specification. Okay, you want paneer, palak paneer. So what are the specification? How much palak paneer you are going to eat? How to cook it? Likewise, what are the ingredients required? And all those are called as what you can say the user requirement specification. So in the same way, when you have the software and the idea is there, that is you want a video sharing platform in elicitation where they can upload the video, they can download the video, they can store the video, and likewise the user requirement specification says that you require a vast storage. For example, let's say suppose if you are having a video sharing platform, and that platform or the application or software like TikTok you design and develop, then to store those videos you require a very vast storage, and that is the first requirement specification. So you have to go with that. So once this specification is done, okay, so you now are ready with what you can say the detailed information of your project idea. So once this is done, you are actually going for flowchart and process flow diagramming. That is called as prototyping. Okay, it's not coding, because we are in a requirement engineering process. We are actually designing the entire thing. Once this prototyping is done, that is how the login will be done, how the logout will be done, what will be the conditions to we can say delete the videos, how the IPR will be handled, and likewise all those things are done here. Once this is completed, you go here for the system requirement elicitation. Now what are system requirement elicitation? Okay, you are having the video sharing platform with you, and you want this system requirement elicitation. So what are those elicitation or system requirement means? uh, you are having a mobile phone which is having only 2 GB of RAM, and your video sharing applications is so is heavy that it requires minimum 4 GB. So that is what we call as a system requirements elicitation. Or let's say suppose you are having an Android phone, okay, which is using mm, the Android sandwich, but what you can say your application require Android Ginger, and in that case you have to consider about the platform, or your software is executable, or you can run that software on Windows system, but it is not compatible with the Linux. So that is what we call as a system requirement specification. So you have to consider all those things: what type of hardware you are going to support, what type of platforms you are going to support, and that called as system requirement specifications. Once your application specifications are done, you have to find out the vehicle, or you can say specification of the system on which your application is going to execute. So once this process is done, you go for the system requirement specification and modeling, because elicitation is done. Now comes the requirement specification and modeling. So how your networking, how the cloud storage and everything will work will be considered here. So this is actual implementation, but right now we are in a requirement engineering process. So here also we are not actually doing any implementation. Instead, we are considering what type of routers you are going to use, what type of you can say protocols you are going to apply, and likewise, and this called as what you can say the system requirement specification and modeling. Once this is done, you come directly to review. Okay, so without review, now there are two type of reviews here, what we call as an alpha testing or alpha review, which are actually conducted in a standard and controlled environment by the technical people, third party. And there are then open review, which call as in beta testing. You actually throw your product among the users and ask those users to reply you for any malfunctioning, or for any bugs, or for any performance glitch. glitch in that particular software, and that is giving you the entire review. And when this review is done, and if this review is okay, you go for system requirement documentation. So here, what I told is the alpha and beta testing. You said that is, sir, right now no software is actually designed on how this alpha and beta testing can be done. So there is two methods to do this alpha and beta testing in a requirement phase. When your code is yet not ready, only design is ready. First thing is that you have to check that design. For example, if you draw a flowchart, you have to find out whether data really flow through the flowchart or not. That is what we call as alpha testing. Once that is done, you have to give this flowchart for testing to the users, and these users may be the different testers from public zone, and they will check your flowcharts or your system for its proper working. So you can actually use a simulation and other thing for this. And once this is done, based on these reviews, you have to do the system requirements documentation. Now when I'm saying here the system, it actually includes the platform system and the software that you are developing, that system. So entire system and the network involved. So all that documentation is done here. So this is what we can call as a requirement engineering process. The first part is the requirement engineering process is elicitation. Second is always specification. To elicit mean you are simply got the idea. To specific application means you actually elaborate that idea into its details, and then you require to validate those details in a third stage. If these three stages get can say correctly used or correctly, you can say followed, your requirement engineering actually works fine. If these three processes won't get followed correctly, the requirement engineering may not work in a good way. So this what you can see, we can call with the requirement engineering. So now, what are the inception? So we already saw all those things in the diagram, so I'm not going to detail everything here. So establish basic understanding. Inception means the problem, uh, the people, the nature of the solution, the effectiveness of preliminary communication. These things are there in inception. So what exactly here mean by problem? When we say problem, in this case, it is not actually the problem. Okay, it is not actually the problem, but it is what we call as a software statement. Okay, so when we say, because we are here to solve something, that's why it is called as a problem, but it is not a problem, it is a software statement. That is, you require a particular type of software. For example, yesterday's example, shop in Waguli. This is a simple statement that I want an application which enables all the people living within the boundary of Waguli to shop from home in any shop which is within the boundary of Wagoli. So that is what you can say a clear and clear cut statement, or this is called as a problem. So once this problem statement is there, this is called as an inception of the idea. So now you have to find out who are these peoples who require this problem to be get solved. Almost all the people who are living in Wagoli want this solution. This is what our assumption. But let's say suppose if 20% want, then it a good business. Okay, as per the 80-20 rule in the business administration, this says that if 20% say yes to your idea, that means you are what you can say in a success zone. Okay, now nature of solution. So here the nature of solution is integrated. If you go with the shop in Wagholi type of solution, because here you are having two things. First, web sorry just a minute. First, what you are having, a web app. You are having a web app. This web app is connected with a logistic people who are actually delivering whatever order placed on this using this web app. Okay, this is also connected with customers who are placing orders on this web app. This is connected with the sellers who are putting their sales or products on the web app. And it also has the fourth part, that is what we call as a web app controller, or the software company who design and develop this web app. So this is the integration of different things. So you are having here what we can say, the customer. Okay, here you are having the customer, here you are having the seller. Okay, here you are having the seller, here you are having what we can say your company. I am seeing this as a company. And then here you are having what you can see your buyers. Okay, and all these are actually communicating with each other through this app. Okay, through this what you can say Shopping Wagoli app. So if you consider this is called as also people who want nature of solution, what we call. So nature of solution is a web centric or network centric application which allows people to shop from their home. Okay, and which allows sellers to sell from their shop without physically meeting each other via some logistic solutions. And all these things are managed and controlled by a software company via this app. So what is the effective preliminary communication here? So effective preliminary communication means whether your customers are ready, or what you can say your buyers are ready to use this app, your customers are ready to use this app, and your sellers are ready to use this app, because these three are the very vital part of such an application. Okay, so you have to collaborate these three using your application. And then you are having the stakeholders are generally, when you design such an app, you require continuous networking power and these and likewise. And so the best thing that you require here, or the most often you require, is the money. Okay, and that money is generally provided by the stakeholders, because they have some invested interest in your business, and that is what we can call as a stakeholders thing. So this what we call as a inception. Okay, once this inception of idea is completed, that is a seed of idea is in your mind and you come up with this idea, nothing is yet ready. Okay, you have to be go with the elicitation means a little bit more knowledge. It's just like inception can be compared with the kindergarten, while elicitation means your first standard to fourth standard, like primary education. So if you consider this, you will find this the sentence seems simple enough. So first what you have to do, ask customers, users and others. So the customers are always at center. You have to ask first the customers, because if there are no buyers or customers, you can't have your software or your product in a market. Users may not pay for your products, but users are the one who decides whether your product will last long in a market or not. Others means anyone else other than customers and users, including your development team. So you have to ask them for this elicitation. So they will actually help you in what you can say expanding your inception or your idea into a more detailed form. So what is to be accomplished, what exactly you want to accomplish in this, required to be answered here. So this accomplishment, what is to be accomplished, is possible only after what you can say communication with these three people, customer, user and others. Then you are having how the system or product fits into the needs of a business. So here whatever business is there, let's say suppose I am having a business, and that business need to be we can say things. So you have to find out whether things literally fits into that business or not. Now, how the system or product is to be used on a day-to-day basis. For example, if you go with an e-shopping application like Shopping, this uh, Wagoli, hmm, how the system or the product is to be used on day-to-day basis is simple. That I want today to buy, say, suppose some vegetable. I can have vegetable vendor on that app. I can say, okay, vegetable vendor. Now, if this vegetable vendor is not having sufficient money to take the services of logistics, the vendor will say that you just simply put the order to me, and I myself will deliver the things in a particular area, and your app is very useful to that person, because that person is not going to pay you anything for registering in your app. Customer is not also paying you anything to register your app. Now, how your app then, or how your company can going to make a business out of such a free thing? Obviously, whenever the sellers and customers comes to your app get a maximum number of people there, and then you can advertise more elegant product, and from this advertisement and other things you can generate the revenue. And that is what we can say call as how the system or product is to be used on day-to-day basis. Because that now we go have to go with the elaboration. The information obtained from customer during inception and elicitation is expanded, refined, and what you can say, more details are added into that idea. In feasible, non-feasible things are get things, and that is what we call as an elaboration. Now, what is negotiation? It isn't unusual for customers and users to ask for more than can be achieved, and this happens everywhere. For example, when you go to a vegetable vendor and if you want to buy a half kg of tomatoes, what you expect? The vegetable vendor must have to give you at least one tomato extra, a 50-gram extra. Okay, if you go to the Reliance Mall, you go there, and what you expect? The Reliance Mall must have to give you a more discount. Instead of 15%, let's say 20%, and something. If they are giving 20%, you expect 25%. So customers are someone who always try to, you can say, get more for less. So they always go for that. Customers and user ask for more than can be achieved. Means you want, say, the shoes of Nike, sports shoes of Nike, but you do not want to pay 5 or 6,000 rupees for that. Instead, you simply want to pay 100, 800 or 1,000 rupees. In that case, you the Nike company how to accordingly have the range of their products. Yeah. So that is what we call as a negotiation, bargaining. That is the market part in requirement engineering. This is, say, suppose this e-Shopee business, which I am saying, that is Shopin Wagoli, was asked by someone to you. Okay, develop this app for us. Okay, and you said, okay, we are going to develop this app, but for development we require 1 lakh rupees, and per month. Okay, so for 3 months, if they given you the 3 months, you are asking for 3 lakh rupees, and then bargaining starts, negotiation starts, and they say, okay, 3 lakh is too much. Let's make it one lakh and 50,000 rupees, or what is it, 1.5 lakh. You will say no, 1.5 lakh is too much. 50% discount is not feasible for us. Let's make this, and you may end up with a deal up to some 2.few lakh rupees, and that is what the negotiation. Okay, so negotiation is that is you require to negotiate with all those things which can affect the entire things. Once this negotiation done, once the financial deals are over, then and then only the specifications in generic requirement engineering starts. So what different people thinks likewise, because say suppose there is no deal happen between me and you, no agreement happen between me and you. I am not liable to pay you anything, you are not liable to pay me anything. In that case, no business will happen, no software development is possible. So there is no question of having the specification. So specification means the different things to different people, but can be written document, it is a set of graphical models, whatever the things. But specification actually starts after negotiation. Specification never starts before negotiation. Now, once the specifications are done, you require to give what you can say work products, what you can say validation. So, who is going to validate your requirements? So whatever requirements you have pointed out from your prior communication or observing the already existing system using rapid prototype modeling, you are going to show those requirements to your customer, and customer will say these requirements are okay, these are not okay, and that is called as a validation process. So the customer, whether he is have the technical knowledge or not, plays a very important role in requirement engineering. He is an integral part. Customer is the integral part of any requirement engineering process. If you delete the customer, if you delete the market, your requirement process is impossible to what you can say complete. Now, what are the problems of scope? So first is that the boundary of the system is ill-defined. That is what you can say problem of scope. Many times users or the customers are not that well versed with the technology, and so they may say that is there is there are some problems in the scope, and they may not use that for thing. So users may specify, customers or users may specify unnecessary. This is very important. Unnecessary technical detail. Okay. So when you give the customer or if customer asks you this thing. So what are these? First problem. Second is, if you go with the second problem, is the problems of understanding. What is the problem of understanding? Okay. The customers or users are not completely sure what is needed and may not understand the system. Many times the customer consider that is if they have the computer, they can do many things. For example, if you go to a farmer and say, a rich farmer, and say that you can create an IoT based system, Internet of Things based system, sensor based system, which can automatically give water to his crops, and likewise, he will consider that okay, in that case, he have to do nothing, but that's not the thing. So you have to make sure that your customer must have to understand the problem. Okay, when you go, there must have to be no ambiguity in any type of thing. Okay, so ambiguous means creating confusion, and if there is any confusion, it can cause much, I can say, to the business. So the third point is that problems of volatility. The requirements may change over time, and so you require to be very cautious about these things. So requirements have to be very you can say gathered together and maintained in a very good way when it comes to problems of volatility. What are the requirements? Discovery is the first. Requirements classification is there. Requirement prioritization and negotiation is there, and requirement specifications are there. So this is the requirement discovery or eliciting requirements process. So this is stage one, that is you actually discover the requirements. Right now, what is the requirement of Indians? Just consider those 59 apps which are banned by government of India. You can say right now the requirement of these people, or say these Indians, uh, okay, the requirement for this uh, requirement for these things are there of this 59 app, and you can consider for that. So you can go for the requirements discovery and likewise. So if you consider this, you are having the basic guidelines for this collaborative requirements gathering. Collaborative means after communicating with your different stakeholders. So meetings are conducted. You require to conduct the meetings with software engineers and other stakeholders, the customers. You have to have the rules for preparation and participation. For example, right now we have the rules for this participation in this webinar, or say, or this web based lectures or online classroom, and those are the things. Then agenda must have to be suggested for the formal conversation, as else otherwise what happens, the meeting may happen, but no conclusive steps will be taken in those meetings. So you have to be always, you can say, good with these meetings and other things. Then after this agenda, you require to give the facilitator. Who is the facilitator? There must have to be one person who should have to monitor and control the meeting. This person, a facilitator, may be the customer, maybe the developer, maybe the outsider. Okay, that will say an event organizer. Then you require to have a definition mechanism, so you can work on sheets, flip charts, wall stickers, and likewise right now we are having this definition mechanism of the presentation in the things. So this is what we call as a collaborative requirements gathering. So when we go on collaborative requirements gathering, generally what happen, you require to be very specific with these things. So if you are having any questions, queries, and or doubts, you can raise them. Yes, you can ask the question just by writing your questions, or unmute yourself by raising your hand and ask the question. But it will be good if you ask the question using question and answer. So I will try to answer your questions on the requirement engineering. So very important. Okay. Hello. Well, if you like the lecture, at least you can say yes in question and answer. Hi guys, are you there? Are you just Abhijit Alne, Abhishek Gupta? Total 87 people are today managed to enter in the classroom. We are on okay. Nomesh Sarodar raised the hand. Okay, what's your question, Nomesh? Okay, I'm trying to unmute Nomesh, but Nomesh is not getting unmuted. You can put your question in a typing. Samir Mishra, open your window. It is minimized. हाँ यादव सर, मैं आपको मेरा लेक्चर खत्म होते ही भेज देता हूँ. नहीं शाम तक नहीं, अभी एक आधे घंटे में भेज देता हूँ. ठीक. अच्छा. Yes, thank you. So you understood this. So we can go for the next slides then. Next means here we are having requirement engineering and use cases. So we are going to see that. So use cases are actually the stories or user stories. Samir Mishra, why you are sleepy? The smiley is sleepy smiling. Subhadra Kumare and Shubham Kachore, open your window. It is not. Don't minimize the windows. They are showing the exclamatory marks. You are going to see this on YouTube when I will upload the videos, because everything is yeah. Maybe by this Sunday you will get 2-3 videos or recorded videos of our lecture available on YouTube. Tutor AS Romal. You can join that YouTube channel. So we're going to see the objectives. So what are the objectives of this lecture? To learn about quality function deployment of the requirement engineering, then to understand the usage scenarios, or what we call as scenario based modeling, to learn about elicitation of our product or the software, and to learn about developing use cases. As far as your syllabus is concerned, this part of the theory is the part of beyond syllabus something, but is required, because without this it is quite difficult to understand what exactly mean by the quality in software engineering, and how you can design and develop the quality products in a software engineering. So if you consider the qualities, for example, here if you go with the quality function deployment, QFD is the quality management technique that translates the needs of customer into technical requirements for software. So this QFD actually concentrates on what you can say maximum customer satisfaction, or what you can say maximum sale of your software. So if you go with the QFD, it actually identifies few things. Okay, those few things are generally in this QFD we are going to see in a Kano diagram. So any software generally have three type of requirements. One called as a normal requirements. Okay, then you are having say extraordinary requirements, and likewise. So what go with the QFD or Kano diagrams things? The QFD identifies three types of requirements. Let's say when you're, say suppose if you are buying a car, okay, here is a thing we can consider. A car is there and you are buying a car. How you buy the car? Let's change the color of the line. So here you are having a normal requirement for this car. These are the expected requirement of a car, that you consider that when you buy the car you will always get these requirements. Okay, but the buyers for these requirements are then steady. Now, examples of normal requirements might be requested types of graphical display, specific system functions, and like things. So suppose if you are creating a web app, okay, the login functionality is what you can say a normal requirement. The customer must not have to specify that to you. Okay, so that is what we call as a normal. Normal means it must have there. For example, if I say you are a human and I am a human, then what are the normal requirements? We must be human. That is a normal requirement. If you are having your tail, or if you are having the horns, okay, then something abnormal is there. Okay, so normal requirements what means, what you can say, the basic feature of any product or the basic functionality of any product is called as the normal requirements. Generally these requirements are not specified by the customer. Okay, so objectives and goals are stated for the product system during meetings with the customer for the necessary satisfaction. But these normal requirements are generally not, you can say, used by the customer, and you can say thing. So examples of normal requirements are there. Then after this you are having the expected requirements. So what we expect from this, that is, if there is something you expect that these requirements are there, there may be a few requirements which will be a little bit sorry, which will there which will be there without, what you can say, thing. So you are considering those requirements as the expected one. Expected requirements are below the level of your normal requirements. Okay, so expected requirements, this one is implicit to the product. For example, say suppose if you are having a simple product like a mug, you always consider there will be a handle, a sturdy handle to the mug to hold it. Okay, so if you are running a simple software, you can say there must have to be a exit system. That is what you consider expected. So they are not explicitly required. Many times these are not explicitly shown. So these are the examples. There's the ease of human-machine interaction, overall operational correctness, good graphical user interface, and something. So those things are there in an example. Then this quality function deployment says there are exciting requirements. And these exciting requirements are called as value added services, which actually decide whether your product will go high or not. For example, if you go to any car delivery system, okay, if you go to any car delivery system, that car delivery system generally asks you to buy the car, and they will show you three models of car: the basic, the intermediate, and the high end. Okay, so basic model is what you can say expected requirements. The intermediate model is what we call as a normal requirements, and the high end model is what we call as a luxury car or exciting requirements. And generally the products which offers more exciting requirements get sold more into the market. So this is thing. This QFD also called as Kano diagrams. Okay, this QFD also called as a Kano diagram. So if we see this, this is what the quality function deployment in the software engineering. Now, what are the usage scenario? Those requirements which are gathered by us, okay, to design and develop a system, they actually gives us the functions and features for the system. So functions means what the system is going to do, and features means what the system is going to offer. Okay, so system is going to offer something to the customer or its user, and so it's difficult to move into more technical in software engineering until you have the understanding for this. And these understanding are actually learned from the usage scenarios or use case diagram. So often called as the use cases. For example, let's say suppose if you are here, I'm saying that is if you are trying to get something, trying to draw this here on the thing, the use case diagram. This is not the correct symbol, but consider this. If you go through the UML software things, you will find this an actor. Okay, for example, and this is a use case. So what is the use case here? Is a login. Let's call this as a LG only. So what login requires? Login requires username and password. So login includes username and password. So what this username and password come from the user database, and likewise. So you know that this is a requirement specification. Now what this user can do after login, if the login is successful, this person can browse. So it can read the applications or mails, or you can write application mails, and likewise and something. So this is what we call as a usage scenario, how the person is going to use that entire software, and that is actually you can say seen in the usage scenario in detail for the further you can say elaborating or further understanding the entire product. This also called as elicitation of work product or elicitation of software, or this also called as a work products requirements elicitation. So what this requires? A statement of a need, why the system is required, and whether it is a feasible or not. So these two statements are required: need statement and feasibility statement. Yeah. Then we require bounded statement of scope for the system or product, whether there is a bounded system. Then list of customers, users, and other stakeholders who participated in requirements elicitation, because we must have to know who have suggested what. And likewise, it's also required to have documentation, a description of the system's technical environment, a list of requirements, preferably organized by the function, and the domain constraints, means the limitations of that domain in which you are going to then it also requires a set of usage scenario, okay, or the use case diagram that provide insight into the use of the system, that how the system will get used, and any prototypes designed developed to better define the requirements. If there is an existing prototype model available, you can also mention that. For example, you can say that you are going to create a e-shopping application shop in Wagholi, okay, and for to know how it works, you can consider Amazon, or you can consider Snapdeal, or you can consider Flipkart, and the person will know that how your system is going to work. And that is what we call as an any prototype developed to better define the requirements. So then, what is elicitation work products? So when you say that is work product or the software are produced in a requirement analysis, you are not actually producing the software, but an entire SRS, software requirement specification documentation for the your final product, and so it requires some elicitation, and so each of these work products is reviewed every time you create something. Must have to be get reviewed either by your mentor or by some third party person, or it must have to be get what can say checked by someone as a customer or user. And that is what we call as elicitation work products. So what are the importance of use cases? First important of use cases is that every use case is captures the contract. Now, what is contract? Because use case actually describe how the system can be used by the people, or you can say the users. The user can understand working of your system without knowing the technical details. And so a user, if you give the proper use case, can buy your software very easily, and that's why it says use case captures a contract. Okay, so it actually describes the behavior of your system under various conditions. Okay, for example, let's say suppose you want to start a particular type of vehicle, how to start it in you can say rainy season, in this season, in that season, likewise. And if all those things are already given, it's so easy. So system responds to one of its stakeholders, not all, but your users and likewise. So use case, what use cases does, every use case, it tells a stylized story about how an end user interacts with the system. So here is the, let's consider this is the end user. This is end user. A stick figure that I am drawing. Okay. Consider this end user want to play a game. So first use case is that he have to, what you can say, I'm saying install the game. IG. Once game is installed, this person have to log in, or what can say call as register, because before login you require to register. Then the third use case for this person is login. You can say after registration this person is login. Once this login is done, this person have to choose the level. So we can say level of game. So we can say C for choose, and L for the game level. And once the game level is choose, he can then play the game. Okay. So if you go with this, now this user already know what are the different use cases. So you have to install the game, you have to register in the game, you have to log into game, you have to choose the level of the game for playing, either beginning, intermediate, or advanced, and then you have to play the game. Okay. Then when you start playing the game, you have the different use cases. So if you go in this direction, you get the entire operation, okay, that this user require to to follow your application. He don't require to know whether your application is designed and developed using C language or Python language or any other language. Okay, so he only required to know that is how to use it. And if the customer or your end user find that using your system is easy, even if your system is technically not that fine, you will jump to that system. Best example is that Skype is the pioneer in this what you can say uh, web-based communication like WebEx and something. WebEx started afterwards, but WebEx got a very easy to use, we can say, interface than Skype. So WebEx start to take over the market. At the same time, Zoom come into the picture. Zoom is too easy to use. So Zoom actually surpass almost every other application in the thing without giving you the proper security and privacy, because it is easy to use. Many people started using Zoom. So this is what we call as a use case. So use case actually captures a contract, and it actually tells a stylized story of how to use that particular software in a you can say run. So this is what you can say, the developing a use cases, why it is important. So this time is not the first step is you have to define the set of actors and involved in the story, and then you have to go with this thing. So steps for developing users is that you have to identify the actors. So these actors may be the users and other thing. I'm not going to read all those things. You can go through this. The primary actors are there. These slides, all presentations are actually shared with you on the Google Classroom. You can go there and download. If you are not registered with the Google Classroom, okay, register with it. Secondary actors are those actors which are actually inherit the properties of primary actors, and likewise. So you have to identify them. So when you go on developing use cases or usage based scenario, you have to find out who is the primary actor, what are the actors goal, what preconditions must have to be there for your software to start. Okay, so what main tasks of the functions are performed, what expectations might be considered, what variations in the actors interactions, what systems. Okay, all these questions require to be answered properly when it comes to developing and designing a use case diagram or use cases, or what you can say usage scenario for your particular software application. So guys, this is end of today's lecture. If you are having any questions, queries, or what you can say doubts, or if you are having some your own explanation to share with after going through all these presentations, you are welcome to share your thoughts and something. I am really thankful to the attendees. Now we are having total 92 attendees here, and your attendance is automatically recorded, so there is no need to take the what you can say oral attendance just like yesterday. Okay, what's Tejas Kantilal, what we want to ask? Your sound is not audible. Hello, Tejas, you are not that audible. Can you type your question? I say in question answer. You can use the Q&A and uh, okay. When is the CAE1 and TAE1? I'm going to give you. Uh, okay, thank you, Ronak, for appreciating the examples. CAE1, TAE1 timetable I'm going to upload on the Google Classroom. Okay, that's not the question to ask. That is the official documentation you will get by today evening. Okay, so if any question with the lecture, you can put here in question and answer. Hello Tejas, I unmuted you. You can ask your question, but problem is that your sound, you are not audible to me. Okay, if you are okay with this 95 attendees, I'm really happy with that. But we are total 135 people, means students. So if you consider those, I like to have all the 100% attendance for this. So if you are fine with today's lecture, can I end it? If you are yes, just raise the hand, or just say right, green mark. Okay, thank you. So I am ending today's training session. Thank you very much for being with me, Guy, for this long. Thank you.